The Bible is a collection of religious texts or scriptures that are considered sacred by a particular religion. Today, when it comes to the Bible, people automatically refer to the Christian scriptures. According to Christian believers, the Bible is directed and guided by God Himself. And His disciples wrote it down and passed it on to future generations. However, the Bible also tells stories that happened after Jesus Christ was crucified, resurrected, and ascended to heaven. So, was God the author of the Bible, or was it written by someone else? Let's answer that question in today's video. The Bible of Christianity is a legacy of humanity. It is considered the best-selling book of all time with 5 billion copies published over 2 millennia. The Bible has also been translated into almost every language on earth, so its influence on history, life, culture, and politics is profound. However, until now, there has been no consensus on the true author of this massive work. In 1947, a young shepherd boy looking for lost sheep in the Qumran region on the coast of Israel accidentally entered a cave. He found clay jars containing parchment scrolls. These handwritten scrolls were later identified by the Jerusalem Bible Academy as dating back to the time of Jesus Christ. Subsequently, the area was excavated from 1947 to 1956, and about 870 handwritten manuscripts were discovered. By the early 1990s, all of these texts had been made public. Experts collaborated to restore, read, and interpret these texts. They were written in Hebrew and Arabic and contained stories very similar to those in the Jewish Bible. Specifically stories about famous characters in the Bible such as Noah or Abraham. The content of the manuscripts also speaks of the birth of the Savior and the hope for God's grace. Later, historians concluded that the manuscripts found on the Dead Sea coast were written by hundreds of people, from the 2nd century BC to the 1st century AD. Therefore, it can be concluded that the Bible was written by many people. But who were they? First, we need to know that the Christian Bible includes the Old Testament and the New Testament. With the Old Testament consisting of 39 books and the New Testament consisting of 27 books. Both the Old and New Testaments were written by more than 40 authors over more than 1600 years. From the 12th century BC to the 2nd century AD. The Old Testament, also known as the Hebrew Bible, is the Old Covenant between the Jews and God. 5,000 years ago, the Jews believed in a supreme being they called Jehovah, meaning God. Jehovah was understood as a supernatural being who created everything. The New Testament, also known as the Christian Bible, is the new covenant between Christian believers and God. It was written after Jesus Christ preached to His disciples. The original text was written in Greek, a century after the emergence of the Gnosticism religion. The New Testament was created much later than the Old Testament and is more religious in nature. It consists of 27 books divided into 3 parts. The Epistles, 5 books, the Gospels, 21 books, and the Book of Revelation, 1 book. The number of pages of the New Testament is only slightly more than half of the Old Testament. Modern scholars believe that the New Testament was written around 382 AD until the 17th century. No one dared to question who wrote the Bible, as the Catholic Church would heavily punish anyone who thought that the Bible was written by humans rather than God. However, in the Bible, the stories of the Jewish people were clearly designated as being written by famous authors such as Moses. Moses, who led the Jews through the Red Sea, was the author of the books of Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy in the Old Testament. The disciples of Jesus Christ, including Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John, were the authors of the Gospels in the New Testament. The Bible is considered a book that records the life and experiences of those who compiled it. However, after the 17th century, some scholars dared to question the origin of the Bible. Specifically, the Dutch Jewish philosopher Baruch Spinoza read and reread the Bible and pointed out errors in the beliefs. For example, the Pentateuch was said to be written by Moses, but the end of the book clearly describes his death. Some religious believers explained that this was because Moses had the ability to prophesy. But this argument was not convincing. Similar evidence suggests that the Bible was written by many people over time. In the 19th century, some writers discovered different writing styles in the Old Testament, proving that there were many different authors related to the Old Testament. Therefore, the question of who wrote the Bible is still unanswered. The Jewish Bible is believed to be a compilation of books written and rewritten many times in the first millennium BC. Rather than written by only one person, the New Testament was written by different people, such as Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John, who inherited the ideas of Jesus Christ. However, even this is more speculative than definitive. A problem with the Gospels is that they were compiled in the 1st century AD, recording the messages of Jesus after he died half a century before. Therefore, the question, who is the author of the Bible, remains unanswered. People can only believe that the Bible is God's guidance, and God is the author of the Bible. And the Bible was written by man under the inspiration of God. Many people argue that the Bible was created solely by God, because the ideas in the Bible always maintain a strict unity, so how could it be written by multiple people? For example, in the Old Testament, 2 copies named Masara and Qumran were found, dating back to the 1st century BC. Qumran is the book that the shepherd boy discovered in 1947, as we mentioned at the beginning of the video. The Masara copy was written 900 years after Christ. When comparing the content of these 2 documents, there is almost no difference. This shows that the process of copying was carried out very carefully and meticulously, helping to limit the possibility of the Bible being distorted over time. When making copies, the scribes counted each letter to check if the number of letters was accurate, not even missing a single stroke. Then other scribes checked again and made great efforts to maintain the original text. The Bible is a very useful encyclopedia in the fields of history, politics, law, ethics, and ancient culture. This book is very detailed about the process of migration, national disasters such as wars, famine, and the experiences of human life, so that future generations can learn many valuable lessons from it. Therefore, instead of arguing whether the Bible was created by God or written by humans, we should focus on extracting its values. The time has passed when the church forced people to believe that the Bible was created by God. Nowadays, many people have begun to believe that the Bible is a culmination of the life experiences of past generations passed down to us. Thank you for watching this video. Please comment on your views so that I can know, and don't forget to subscribe to support me. Goodbye and see you again.